In our headlines on this Friday afternoon, August 23rd, here in South Korea. A deadly fire at a hotel Thursday evening in Bucheon, Gyeonggi-do province, kills 7 and injures 12 others. Relevant authorities are currently investigating the reason behind and the response to the tragedy. Meanwhile, over in the U.S., Vice President Kamala Harris takes to the stage Thursday night at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago to formally accept the party's nomination for president. And Russia's Vladimir Putin accuses Ukraine of seeking to strike a nuclear power station in the Kursk region. The accusation has been brushed aside as propaganda by Ukraine. A fire at a hotel in the city of Bucheon in Gyeonggi-do province Thursday night has led to 19 casualties, including 7 losses of lives. Our Lee Seung-jae starts us off.
What was supposed to be a typical Thursday night turned into a deadly tragedy at a hotel in Bucheon, just west of Seoul, when a fire broke out on the 8th floor of the 9-story hotel just after 7:30 p.m., leaving 7 dead and 12 others injured. Authorities dispatched 70 vehicles and around 160 firefighters to the scene, with most of the fire being put out by just after 10 p.m. The hotel has 64 guest rooms and 27 guests were said to have been inside the building when the fire broke out. The blaze did not spread inside the building, however, smoke was able to circulate through the hotel. According to preliminary investigations, a toxic gas spread through the building, causing the casualties. Kong Ha-sang, a professor of fire prevention at Usuk University, said that based on the fact that the hotel was an old building, there must have been many interior and exterior materials that were combustible, leading to toxic gas spreading quickly throughout the building. Fire authorities also said many of the guests were unable to evacuate using the stairs or elevator due to how quickly smoke and gas filled the hotel. Some died after jumping out of the windows onto an inflatable mattress, while others were found on the stairs and hallways, unable to escape due to the smoke. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
In the U.S., Vice President Kamala Harris took to the stage Thursday night at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago to formally accept the party's nomination for president, adding that the support granted to her has been humbling. Our Lee Soo-jin reports.
On the 4th and final day of the U.S. Democratic National Convention in Chicago on Thursday local time, Vice President Kamala Harris formally accepted her party's nomination as its candidate for president.
On behalf of everyone whose story could only be written in the greatest nation on earth, I accept your nomination to be President of the United States of America.
The acceptance speech has historically been a high-stakes moment, as it's when candidates speak directly to the nation, and even more so with Harris, as it has been barely a month since President Joe Biden dropped out of the race. She drew a sharp contrast with Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump and pledged to be a president for all Americans. She also went into her childhood as well as the beginning of her legal career. Harris had already taken to the stage on day 1 of the convention, where she made a surprise appearance on the first day to pay tribute to Biden. The DNC theme for the last day is For Our Future, as the party highlighted how Harris and her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, hope to lead the nation forward. The last day features speeches from prominent Democrats like Senator Elizabeth Warren, as well as performances by Pinko. Walz gave his speech accepting the vice presidential candidate nomination the previous day, channeling his past as a high school football coach and leaning heavily into his Midwestern roots to appeal to Middle America. The convention has showcased energy and star power with speeches by the Obamas and even Oprah Winfrey, which has put Trump and his campaign on the defense. This also comes as a 66-year-old man from Arizona, Ronald Sivert, was taken into custody on Thursday afternoon for allegedly making threats to kill Trump in multiple social media posts over the past couple of weeks. Trump was in the area visiting the U.S. border with Mexico. Just last month, Trump was grazed by a bullet in an assassination attempt at a campaign rally in Pennsylvania. And when asked about the threats, Trump said he was not that surprised. With the conclusion of the Democratic and Republican national conventions, the presidential tickets finalized, Harris and Trump will face off in a debate in Philadelphia on September 10th. Lee Soo-jin, Arirang News.
Also on the international front, Russia's Vladimir Putin says Ukraine sought to strike a nuclear power station in the Kursk region. Our Yoon has more.
As Ukrainian forces continue their offensive push in Russia, according to Reuters, Russian President Vladimir Putin on Thursday accused Ukraine of attempting to attack Russia's Kursk nuclear power plant. Located on the Sime River, the Kursk plant supplies about half of the electricity used in the Black Earth region of southern Russia. The acting governor of Kursk reported to Putin that the situation at the plant was stable. Putin had no documentary evidence to support his accusation, but Moscow has alerted the UN nuclear safety watchdog about the situation. The IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi said he plans to visit the plant next week to assess the situation and is expected to meet with President Zelensky afterward. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Thursday visited the Sumy region, from where his forces staged major offensives in Kursk. He met with his military's top commander and received reports on the operational situation in all active combat zones. According to reports on Thursday, Russia dropped 2 guided bombs on civilian infrastructure in Ukraine's Sumy region, one of which killed 2 people and injured another. In a speech at a veteran forum on Thursday, Zelensky reiterated that Ukraine's recent incursion into the Kursk region was part of a systematic effort to end the 30-month-old war on Kiev's terms. Yoon, Arirang News.
The U.S. Federal Reserve's Jackson Hole Symposium takes place this week with much attention on Chairman Jerome Powell's keynote address on Friday. The symposium itself comes amid renewed confidence that U.S. inflation is easing and that its economy is looking ahead to a soft landing. Pundits believe Powell's upcoming speech will be framed around these latest findings. Earlier this week, the release of minutes from the Fed's July meeting showed, quote, vast support for a rate cut starting September. The Fed's base rate currently stands at 5.25 to 5.5%, riding on a 23-year high after a series of aggressive hikes. President Yoon Suk-yeol invited members of Team Korea to dinner Thursday night to applaud them yet again for their performance at the Paris Olympics. He also pledged to foster a free and fair training environment for Korea's athletes. Our top office correspondent Kim Do-yeon reports.
Celebrating South Korea's record-breaking performances at the Paris Olympics, President Yoon Suk-yeol thanked the athletes for their hard work and for making him and the nation happy.
여러분들 덕분에 지난 파리 올림픽 기간 내내 저도 정말 행복하고 아주 힘이 났습니다. 모처럼 즐거운 시간을 가졌습니다.
This was at a celebration hosted by President Yoon on Thursday at a hotel in Seoul. South Korea won 13 gold, 9 silver, and 10 bronze medals in Paris. But President Yoon says the nation can't stop there, pledging to foster more young talent through support from the government.
좋은 결과를 낸 방식은 더욱 발전시키고 또 낡은 관행들은 과감하게 혁신해서 청년 세대의 가치관과 문화와 의식에 맞는 또 자유롭고 공정한 이런 훈련 환경을 만들어내야 됩니다.
While Yoon's comment didn't make any specific reference, it did come amid controversy over the surprise separation of women's badminton gold medalist An Se-young from the Korea Badminton Association. An made the announcement following her win, claiming an injury wasn't managed well by the association. More accusations followed, including ones related to players' finances, prompting the Minister of Culture and Sports to open an investigation. In the meantime, participating in the celebration were all of the around 240 athletes and coaching staff. Star athletes, such as An herself, members of the archery team, and shooter Kim Ye-ji, made famous for her ice-cold look, were there. Others also included Chung Hee-sun, the CEO of Hyundai Motor Group and the chief of the nation's archery administration, who is known for supporting archery financially and ensuring fair competition to pave the way for decades of South Korean domination in the sport. To show appreciation, President Yoon presented awards to the athletes and coaching staff. According to the top office, the medal given was even bigger than the Paris Olympics gold medal. In the meantime, to hype up the celebration, New Jeans performed their hit song Hype Boy and a few other songs. Other performers such as BSS, a unit of 17, and famous magician Yoon joined as well. The athletes enjoying the performance pledged to make the next Olympics in LA a success as well. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Also early on Thursday, the public here partook in an air raid evacuation drill nationwide as part of the Ulchi Freedom Shield, which kicked off at the start of this work week. Our correspondent Peunji reports.
Air raid sirens blared across the country at 2 p.m. on Thursday as South Korea held its annual air raid drill. During the 20-minute drill that was carried out to raise public awareness of emergency response measures, pedestrians on the street were required to move to designated shelters or nearby underground spaces. Traffic was blocked in some areas, including downtown Seoul, as drivers were instructed to pull to the side of the road while traffic lights remained on red for 5 minutes to allow passengers and vehicles to safely evacuate. There are about 17,000 shelters across the country, installed in places such as apartment basements and subway stations. Also during the 20-minute drill, the country's Air Force carried out a training exercise, simulating an attack involving an enemy fighter jet. F-15K, F-A-50, and T-50 fighters took part. Thursday's drill was carried out on the last day of the 4-day Ulchi Civil Defense exercises, held alongside the ongoing Ulchi Freedom Shield drills, which South Korean and U.S. troops began on Monday to boost joint readiness against threats from North Korea. During this week's civil defense drills, the Defense Ministry said it held a meeting to discuss the nation's response measures in case of a nuclear attack from North Korea. In the meeting that involved the military and 11 different government agencies, they reviewed the country's defense posture against a possible nuclear attack and discussed detailed plans to support chemical, biological, radiological, and medical units. Meanwhile, military officials from Seoul and Washington have been watching closely for a potential provocation from North Korea, as Pyongyang has been strongly criticizing the Ulchi Freedom Shield combined exercises, calling them a rehearsal for an invasion. Peunji, Arirang News.
Now, prior to Thursday's nationwide civil drill, back on Wednesday, an integrated defense exercise against maritime terrorism took place in the southern port city of Busan. Our defense correspondent Choi Min-jung has details.
Around 10 enemy drones approached the Busan port. South Korea's military immediately fires Vulcan cannons and Shingung surface-to-air missiles to target them. The terrorists then try to escape overseas using a passenger ship. But the Navy, Coast Guard, and military police swiftly surround and infiltrate the ship, preventing the terrorists from fleeing. And on land, military armored vehicles block their escape route. Then, special forces from the military and police hijack a bus to shoot down the terrorists. The training, which took place on Wednesday, was conducted as part of the Ulchi Freedom Shield exercise. It reflected North Korea's increasingly diverse provocations, including terrorism against multi-use and maritime facilities, as well as drone attacks. The drill involved around 300 people from nearly 40 civilian, government, military, and police agencies.
We will continue to conduct drills reflecting the complex and diverse situations to establish a perfect counterterrorism posture.
Relevant agencies vowed to continue working to further strengthen their joint defense posture in the future. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
In other news, Hyundai Motor Company and Kia Corporation have had their long-term issuer and issue credit ratings upgraded from BBB+ to A- by S&P Global. The New York-based credit rating agency says the upgrade reflects the two Korean automakers' presence in key markets, including the U.S., driven by demand for their SUVs. Pundits say the upgrade is indication of confidence in the company's revenue and cash flow, as market insiders note the carmaker's lineup of electric and hybrid vehicles. Here on the local front, public concerns over the safety of electric vehicles amid a number of recent fires have led to larger numbers of cheaper EVs on used car trading platforms, as well as calls by pundits for mandatory disclosure of battery manufacturer details. Our Moon Hye-ryun files this report.
It all began on August 1st when a fire broke out in the underground parking lot of an apartment complex in Incheon. A Mercedes-Benz EQE electric car using Foros's energy batteries appeared to spontaneously catch on fire, consequently destroying 87 other vehicles and damaging 783 more. While forensic police investigations are expected to take around a month, the incident sparked fears over the safety of electric vehicles. According to data from K-Car, a South Korean auto trading platform, the number of EVs put up for sale nearly doubled the week following the fire compared to the week before. A different used car platform, N-Car, showed that prices this month of some popular EVs such as Hyundai Motors' Ioniq 5 and Kia's EV6 fell in contrast to last month, as did Tesla's Model 3 and Model Y. In response, the government advised EV firms to release information on battery manufacturers used in their vehicles to ease consumer concerns last week. Next month, it plans to release a more comprehensive solution.
The question of whether or not to make labeling the manufacturer of EV batteries mandatory will be included in the comprehensive measures to be announced in early September, along with other content.
Despite the fact that it has not been made mandatory as of yet, most EV firms selling in South Korea stepped up to release information about the manufacturers of batteries used in their vehicles, starting with Hyundai Motor and including the likes of foreign automakers such as Tesla. The majority of EVs listed use South Korean batteries, while around a quarter use Chinese batteries. Experts expect disclosing manufacturer information for EV batteries to benefit both consumers and domestic EV battery firms.
I think the effect of mistakes made during manufacturing is actually greater than the effect of surrounding temperature or overcharging. Personally, I think revealing manufacturer information would be effective, so manufacturers will be more responsible when making their products.
In recent years, China has rapidly gained ground in the global EV battery market due to its strong cost competitiveness. Moon Hye-ryun, Arirang News.
Historical drama Pachinko, based on the novel by Korean-American author Lee Min-jin, returns to screens with a second season, that is, starting Friday. Starring Oscar-winning actress Yoon Ye-jung as well as Lee Min-ho and Kim Min-ha, the first season caught the attention of the global audience and won the Critics' Choice Award for Best Foreign Language Series back in 2022. The new season continues the story of the main character Sunja, a Korean immigrant living in Japan, as the country braces for an American attack in 1945. Airing on Apple TV Plus once a week, the second season has a total of 8 episodes.
Pretend to know what that reality is.
Let's take a look at the latest news in the world now. We begin in Venezuela, where the country's Supreme Court on Thursday endorsed Nicolas Maduro's re-election victory last month, amid international pressure to review the results stemming from claims of election fraud by the opposition party. Venezuela's Supreme Justice Tribunal, which includes Maduro loyalists, said they agreed that Maduro had won a third 6-year term on Thursday, while the court president, Carrizlia Rodriguez, added that the decision came from reviewing materials supplied by the Electoral Authority and cannot be appealed. The opposition, Democratic Unitary Platform, has previously published online what it said are 83% of the final voting machine tallies, which show that its candidate, Edmundo Gonzalez, had won 67% of the country's votes. The Venezuelan Electoral Authority, however, never published full tallies, after announcing within hours of the polls closing on election day that Maduro won just over half of the votes. The disputed July 28th presidential election has led to deadly anti-government protests in the country and condemnation by the international community, to which Maduro's administration reacted by a crackdown on dissent, including arrests of opposition politicians and protesters, forced resignation of state employees, and tightening regulations on NGOs. The top court's ratification gives Maduro, who first took office in 2013, another 6-year term set to begin in January. Indonesia's parliament has cancelled its plans to ratify controversial revisions to the country's election laws after thousands of protesters attempted to storm the parliament building on Thursday local time. A large crowd of Indonesian activists, students, workers and celebrities joined Thursday's protest. Some of the protests were met with tear gas and water cannons after taking down a section of the fence and throwing objects at the police. They were protesting after an emergency motion was passed by Indonesia's parliament on Wednesday to change the minimum age required to serve as a governor. This would have allowed the president's youngest son, 29-year-old Kaesang Pangarep, to run in a regional contest in central Java. Lawmakers initially planned to ratify the change in a plenary session on Thursday, but were met with fierce opposition, with critics saying the changes were aimed at installing a political dynasty. The incumbent Indonesian president, Joko Widodo, is set to leave office in October after serving his second and final 5-year term, while his eldest son, 36-year-old Gibran Rakabuming Raka, has been elected as the incoming vice president. Canada's top 2 railroad companies locked out around 9,300 workers after midnight on Thursday local time after failing to clinch a deal with the Teamsters union following months of contract talks. The companies, Canadian National Railway and Canadian Pacific Kansas City, and the Teamsters union tossed the blame on each other for the service stoppage after multiple rounds of talks reportedly failed to reach an agreement. Business leaders on Thursday called on the Canadian government to resolve the issue as it threatens North America's crucial supply chains. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said plans to resolve the work stoppage were in the pipeline without giving any insight on how the situation will be solved. According to the Railway Association of Canada, some $280 billion in goods is moved by rail each year. Hundreds of sea lions have taken over San Carlos Beach in Monterey, California, forcing the city to close the beach to all visitors on Monday. Barricades have been put up as witnesses say that some 800 to 1,000 sea lions have been seen on the beach. Caution tape has also been put up, but crowds are enjoying the rare spectacle, taking photos as the sea lions rest and play on the shore. Lisa Utal from the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary said that the exact reason for the sea lions' appearance at the San Carlos beach is yet unclear, but it's thought that they may be attracted to the rich diversity in the ecosystem's food supply. Utal added that the sea lions are expected to stay on the California beach for 3 to 4 weeks. Kim Xiang, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. Summer 2024 will be remembered for record-breaking heat. Seoul woke up to its longest run of tropical nights, 36 nights so far. Jeju had the second longest number of consecutive tropical nights. But numbers will continue to be added through the rest of the month. Meanwhile, temperatures continue to hover above 35 degrees Celsius in eastern parts of Korea. The rest of the country could get slight relief from the heat, with passing rain in the forecast. And unlike yesterday, the capital will see skies getting brighter as the day goes on. But brace for on and off rain and keep an umbrella handy today. Now, that rain will not help to ease the heat, only boosting humidity in the air. Seoul and Daejeon should get up to 32 degrees Celsius, Gyeongju topping out at 37 degrees. Passing rain is in the forecast across Korea on Saturday. Then southern provinces will have a rainy Sunday. More midsummer heat is in the forecast next week. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
Right, that ends our Friday afternoon newscast. As always, thank you for watching.